In this final video in this section, we're going to take a look at intercepts. Intercepts are places where our function or the graph of our relationship is going to cross one of the two axes. We have an x-intercept and a y-intercept, and not every graph of every equation is going to necessarily have an intercept. Things to remember is that an intercept has a value of 0 for the y or the x value, depending if it's an x-intercept or a y-intercept. And so let's just take a look at some examples where we identify the intercepts from graphs. So we have this first graph, we have a nice line. And first thing we're going to do is let's identify the actual coordinates or the places where it crosses. So we have one place right here, and that's of course at the point 0, 3. All right, so we have 0, 3. And then over here, we have the point 5, 0. And so those are the places where it crosses the axes. And so if I ask for the x-intercept, right, one of two ways that we can go through and describe this. One of which is we could just say that it's going to be 5, or another way to say it is at the actual coordinate 5, 0. And notice that the y there is going to be equal to 0, as is true of all intercepts. The other point that we have is 0, 3. So for the y-intercept, we can either say that that's going to be 3 or the ordered pair 0, 3. So that's all we have to do with this. Just identify where it crosses the axis, okay? And again, notice with the y-intercept that the x value is going to be 0 for that. In this graph, we have several intercepts. And so we have one here, right? And that's going to be at the point -1, 0. So it's helpful for us to make sure that we label them. Right here, this is going to be the point 0, 4. And then finally over here, it's going to be the point 2, 0. And so the graph of this relationship is going to have two x-intercepts and one y-intercepts. So the x-intercepts can be expressed two ways. You could say that it's going to be -1, 2. All right, and I could put that in like a set notation if I wanted to. Or I could say the points 1, 0 or -1, 0 and 2, 0. Okay, and once again, notice that the y coordinates are 0 for the intercepts. There's a singular y-intercept that would be at 4, or another way we could say that is 0, 4. And again, notice that the x value for that is 0. In this graph, there's only one intercept, and it's only one x-intercept. There are no y-intercepts. And so we look right here, and clearly this is going to be the point -4, 0. And so if I ask for the x-intercept for this, we could just say -4, or we could say the point -4, 0. And then finally, we could say for the y-intercept, we could just say none. Right? And so that's it. If we ever see the intercepts of these graphs, we just know that there's the place where they cross the axes. And so later in the course, what we're going to do is we're going to be given the equation and we're going to be able to figure out what the intercepts are. But for right now, we're just analyzing the graphs of these. So that's going to be it for this section. And so in the next section, what we're going to do is we're going to start taking a look at a little more detail of graphs of these sorts of functions and these sorts of relationships, and making sure that we can go through and work with those graphs and understand what a function might be.